Well, good morning, everyone. I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to As Above, So Below, a Rune and Tarot Divination for Thursday, the 16th of December, 2021. We have a 7 energy today, numerology today. It's balance, observations, spirituality, magic, analysis, meditation, and truth. Um, Not now, this isn't going to be the rune and the geomancy rune for the reading, but this is from the esoteric influences for today. We have Laguz, which is flow. That would be the as above part of as above, so below. If you were to think of it that way. So it's flow, clairsentience, emotional balance, purification, harmony. You can use it as a hook. You can visualize it as a hook to draw your energy back to you after you've dissolved the channels you create, the thought channels you create with others and with other situations and what have you. You can see them dissolve and bring all of your energy back to you and come to your still point to regain your balance, particularly if there's any vampiric intrusions today that you might experience. Empaths are very susceptible to that. They pick up, we pick up, because I'm one, we pick up the emotions of other people. And sometimes it's difficult to know which is yours and which is somebody else's. And so it makes sense to have a way of identifying that. And that's just one type of visualization you can do to make that happen. After you do that, then you can visualize an energetic shield of some kind to protect you from intrusive energies. And not all intrusive energies are meant in a harmful way. Sometimes people are just needy and they need a friend. They need somebody to talk to. I usually get it in the grocery store lines, not so much anymore with COVID or anything, but I would just have people start talking to me about the most innermost stuff, and it's they don't know me, and yet they feel comfortable enough to extend themselves out, or needy enough to do that. And so you have to learn to recognize which is harmful and which is just somebody that needs to be heard. But still, you still have to recenter yourself from time to time, and Laguz can help you do that. Kata Draconis, geomancy rune from the esoteric influences today. Now, this is the dragon's tail, or the south node of the moon is its governance, basically. So you're talking about endings. It's also thought to be the lower kingdom. It also reflects karma. It's considered amongst geomancers of old to be evil, but I think that's probably just the karma aspect of it. And karma's only as evil as you want to perceive it to be. So I would be a little careful there. But the sun's in Sagittarius still. The moon's in Taurus until Gemini at 12:43 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Jupiter is the governance today for Thursday. And so if you're working magic, it can take the form of social justice, healing, abundance, income, growth, and achieving your goals and desires. And the favorability for working magic today is very good. But again, I talked a little bit in the esoteric influences about remaining balanced today and observe more than react, especially if your reactions are impulsive, and without, stepping back with that 7 energy to really take an objective look, an analytical look at what's really happening before you make any decisions and jump into the fray. Also express gratitude toward others who respect your boundaries, especially if you're feeling a little more emotional than you usually do today. Avoid judging yourself or lashing out in frustration, or if feeling overwhelmed by the circumstances around you. It's really a passing phase, and anything that's truly important will resurface if necessary. So you don't have to worry about that, because it always comes back, doesn't it? Anyway, self-analysis can be valuable, but now's the time for clarity achieved from an inspired vision. And again, that 7 energy, Laguz as well, can be helpful in that. You've experienced the indiscriminate use of power, and some time away from that influence will bring a greater spiritual awareness. And I'm not necessarily suggesting that you are the one using the indiscriminate use of power, but that probably it's more that you're watching that unfold, and and it's leaving you feeling off balance, and I know it's leaving me off balance. So anyway, again, just know that you have a little more control over those perceptions than you think you do. So anyhow, if this is your first time here, welcome. Thanks so much for coming by. I hope you'll click subscribe and come back. And to all of those who have and do, thank you so much. We're approaching Yule. We're approaching, I don't know if we're still in Hanukkah because I don't follow that. But if whatever the days surrounding that are in effect, I don't know. But what happened to my rune? Oh, there it is. I'll put that back over there. But Yule is coming up on the 21st. Christmas on the 25th. New Year's Day. That's also coming up on the 1st. So lots of different things happening over the next couple of weeks. The snow's starting to hit in places. We had a little bit yesterday, but it seems to have melted again, so I don't know. I imagine the passes, though, are quite snowy, apparently. So be careful out there if you're driving in those conditions. I guess the city next over to us, the town next over from us, there was an article, and this is always the way, oh, well, all these crashes happened. Well, it is what it is. I don't know what to say about that. Gebo's our rune for today. It's Kenaz in all directions, expressed outward, the light of spirit expressed outward. It's considered the gift. It's the gift of reciprocity and balanced energy exchange with others. Let's take a look at the geomancy rune for the reading. We'll keep in mind Laguz and Cauda Draconis were the ones for today's esoteric influences. We'll see if they align up with what we're going to do today or not, or if they just maybe give us a little more information. No, this is going to be Fortuna Minor, so there it is right on top. So it's going to be progressive success, lesser fortune. Fortuna Major would be the greater fortune. Fortuna Minor is the lesser fortune. So you're talking about, instead of like getting a windfall or getting some kind of promotion or something, this is where it suggests, okay, here's a finality type of thing, a thing, not a progression toward the outcome, right? It's more of an outcome oriented thing with Fortuna Major. So this is going to be progressive fortune or progressive success, making progress along the path. So, maybe you're working in concert with other people today, you're collaborating with others, and you're going to see some progress made in that regard. So let's go ahead, though, and take the cards. We're going to take 3 cards first. If we need any more, we'll take them. Hopefully it's going to give us a little bit more information about the idea of the gift of reciprocity and energetic balance with others, and a little bit of progress along the way. So I already did some shuffling before we started here, so let's go ahead and take our first 3 cards. Well, okay. Let's see. We've got the 8 of Cups. I'm getting a new deck in the mail today. It's basically Rider-Waite, but instead of having the borders, they go all the way to the edge. I thought that was cool, so I bought that. But it's essentially the Rider-Waite. It's just done a little bit differently, though. And then we have the 9 of Wands. So we've got Cups, which is the water element, and that's our emotions, compassion. And again, that could have something to do with Gebo. Wands is the fire element, so that's going to be creativity. It's going to be invoking the will. And again, you could. This is actually a fire element rune, so you could say that the inner spiritual will is being invoked out in terms of clarity, reciprocity, balanced energy exchange. Because remember, this is Kenaz in all directions here. I'll draw this out. So I don't have to get another one here. If you explode it out and you look at the component of the basic component of it, you have You have Kenaz in all directions. But you also have Isa crossing itself, which is just a single line. Isa is a Norn rune of the static realm or the present moment. So you want your present moment. You want every given moment to express the light of spirit, basically, is what that's saying. And then lastly, we have another Wands card, the Knight of Wands. Someone who's on a quest, who's passionate and protective and energetic and action-oriented. We'll talk about him, though. But with the Eight of Cups, we're walking away from emotions that no longer serve. We see the water in the background. We're clearly at the beach. You see the craggy rocks there. So, and whenever you see that those are challenges. Okay, here you have, he's walking upward, right? And you see some rocks in the way. So what he's done here is he's put all of his cups, all of his emotions, everything he's learned, emotionally, that is, and he's got them in order. And it's almost like, he's the ninth cup right here. You see one that's missing, right? And it's almost like he's the ninth cup. And he's walking away from, he's got them in order. He'll take with him whatever is of value, but the rest he's going to leave behind. And no matter what the situation, no matter what challenges he faces, no matter how he feels about that emotionally, he's prepared to go. And so in a way, it's sort of a reflection of kata, isn't it? Where you're letting go of things that no longer serve you. You take with you what you've learned, and yet you move on into new experiences. That's sort of the dichotomy, if you will, between the north and south nodes of the moon. The south is about the past, and the north is about the future. But here you see him walking away from emotions that again, part of it, they don't serve him any longer. So in a sense, it really does align with, and it could also align with Gebo, the gift you give yourself of some emotional peace, of putting things in order, of Chiron is a good planet for that, planetary influence for that, where it's the wounded healer, where when things come up, difficult situations come up that are emotional in nature. A lot of this stuff comes from early childhood, or it could come from a different lifetime, a different past life experience. And past is a really interesting thing because that's just an illusion. Everything happens in the present moment. It's just we perceive it as happening before. And consequently, when you're given those opportunities, and that's what they really are, those moments arise, they really are opportunities for healing. And in a sense, that's what the 8 is doing here. And 8 is really about strength. It's also about material achievement and recognition. But if you look at the 8th card of the major arcana, that's strength. And it really, 8 also includes leadership. So there's another example of strength. But being able to walk away and put things into perspective and to take with you only that which is going to benefit you in the future, that takes a tremendous amount of inner strength. And so there could be something about that that's happening for you today, maybe having to do with how you integrate with other people, how well you do. Are you going to be able to leave behind things that that no longer serve that situation, or are you going to keep bringing them in and keeping you stuck in a certain type of perception? So that's realistically what I think that the 8 of Cups is signaling today. We move on to the 9 of Wands, and here you see order. You see the line of demarcation there, signaling that was then and this is now. You have a guy that's been through it. There was a battle of wills, perhaps, some kind of a battle. Maybe it's an internal struggle, or maybe it's external. But you see the bandage on his head. So he's wounded. You see a bandage here on his arm. And he's got his staff in his hands, but he's looking back sort of furtively, like, okay, are you guys really back there? Are you really supporting me? So there's not a lot of, even though the 9 signifies endings and completions, so the battle is over in a sense. In fact, we could have actually started with the 9, and we could have said, well, okay, the battle is over. But it's time to let go now of emotions that are surrounding all of it, because a lot of the time, what keeps us stuck is a combination of emotion and will, or water and fire. You look at the card of Temperance, the 14th card of the major arcana. There, the angel is pouring water back and forth, balancing will with emotions, balancing fire with water. Trying to become a little more grounded, and so I think that what you're talking about here is having some support, having some resolve, having some strength for this inner battle, because I just see this more as an inner battle, although it could mean some kind of conflict you've been involved in that's not inner. But anytime you're in conflict, the inner part of self is always part of that. So I'm not sure how you can see one or the other here. So whether this is some kind of conflict you're having with others and you're not really sure of the support that you have, but it's there, your life experiences are there to support you if you let them. But here with the 8 now, we've decided to let go of things and have the strength to let go of things that no longer serve us. And I really think probably we should have started with this one. And that's the cool part about tarot. You can be reading your cards and realize, you know what? I think that this one actually came first. And so you can move your cards around. It's fine. I'm losing my voice already. It's only 7:30 in the morning, my time. Have a drink of tea. I always put red pepper in my tea. My husband makes my tea usually, unless I do it, but otherwise he'll do it for me. And he yelled out this morning, "You need some red pepper in your tea?" I'm like, "Yeah, I need red pepper in my tea." Cayenne wakes things up. It also gets things moving. And so if you've got any, slushy throat or sinus issues or anything like that, I just kind of do this. I don't shake it. But I'll put like 3 little things of red pepper in my tea or what have you. And it helps get things moving in the body. So, and I haven't had any tea yet this morning. That was my first drink. But in any event, we move on. Once you can do these things, you realize you have an inner battle going on, and both in terms of will and emotions. And you're taking some command of that. You're walking away from things that are no longer serving you, putting things in order, because here you have really a sense of order, don't you, on both cards? So the inner battle of will extends also to the inner battle of emotions. And again, on this 7 numerology day, the idea is to step back before reacting, and the reaction's either going to be willful or emotional, right? And to achieve some kind of a balance, some realistic perspective before reacting to something, either willfully or emotionally. And from there, we have the Knight of Wands. Now, the Knight of Wands is in the Holy Land. You know that because you see the pyramids. The knights, especially the Templar knights, they were into a lot of stuff. But what they did is they would go on a quest to the Holy Land. Now, why they did that, it would just depend on what the king was wanting them to do, or if they were on their own, what they were wanting to do. One of the things, Robert the Bruce, his heart was reportedly taken back by knights, and I don't know if they were Templar knights or just knights. But they took the heart back to the Holy Land. I'm related to both the person who did that, reportedly, and I'm also related to Robert the Bruce. And so it's kind of an interesting card for me, because this just reminds me of someone who's taking a quest on behalf of someone else. So there's risk involved, there's passion involved, there's protection involved, progress, and again, risk. So the outcome then, I guess we could look at this as an outcome card. If we're doing things on behalf of others, we have to also have an inner balance. Otherwise, maybe we're doing it for reasons that are our own agenda. And we don't want to have that, right? We want to be agendaless in that regard. We want to express Gebo in our lives. So the light of spirit, which doesn't have an agenda other than to be spiritual, and to have soul, have spirit in basically infuse the soul, so that we're not reacting from ego. And in a sense, we're kind of dealing with ego with these two cards, aren't we? And ego's then going to prevent the balanced energy exchange that Gebo's talking about, right? And then you could say then that with the Knight of Wands, the Fortuna Minor might align well then with that. But Gebo does as well. The idea of this is once you can control the will and the emotions within, then you can then go on and act in a selfless manner to other people out in the world with others. I mean, wouldn't it be nice to not have someone want something because they're, in other words, it's like someone offers to do something for you. It's like, okay, what do you want? Because there's this transactional way of doing things. There's not the whole idea of random acts of kindness. You expect nothing in return. You just do it because you want to help somebody. You want to ease their life in some way. But you don't want anything. A thank you maybe what might be nice. A kind word might be nice. But other than that, you don't want anything from them. You know, it's like when you ask a neighbor for help and they want to get paid for it. It's like, well, no, I just helped you with this, and now will you help me with that? You know, that's the cool part about bartering. I like bartering because it's, you know, if I'm gonna, I did that with a couple of cows we had years and years ago, and the men stayed out of it, and it was the women folk that did the bartering. And the lady that I did this with, she had some pigs, she had some chickens, she had, you know, she was growing all this stuff up, she had some stuff from the garden and all of that. And then, so what we did was we worked out a barter where they would pay X amount of dollars for the cow that they were going to butcher, and then the rest of it was made up in either stuff from her garden, some pork from one of the pigs, and let's see, oh, and we got some fryers out of it all. And so it was kind of fun to sit there, and the guys were our husbands were just sitting there going, what are they doing? But we had a figure that we began with, and I think it was like $1,300 or something like that for the cow. And we worked it down. I mean, the bulk of it was money, but then you had about, I don't know, $200 of it that was barter stuff. And it was so much fun to do. You know, everybody got what they wanted out of the deal. They got this great cow, and we got some stuff from their garden and that they had growing and whatnot. So stuff that they put their own time and energy into. And that was just a wonderful thing to do. It was just so much fun. It was the best time I've ever had doing something like that. It was just very cool. And nobody felt like they got less than what they deserved, and everybody was happy. And it was just a very cool thing to do. And to me, that's a reflection of Gebo, of balanced energy exchange. You're putting in something that you have something of value to trade, and you're figuring out a way to make that happen in a way that makes everybody happy. And I think that's I think it's just an interesting way to approach life, and is a kind of an archetype for how you approach life. But again, I think today that in order to maintain progressive success, you're going to have to control the will, control the emotions, put everything into perspective, know where everything is, and then go off on your quest to do something on behalf of someone else without expecting anything in return. Just to offer your service to someone, whether it's just offering a kind word, or a listening ear, or your heart, or your presence. It doesn't have to be anything tangible. You don't have to grow up a cow and sell it, you know. It's not that. It's just that the interaction that you should have with people today has to be based on a balance of will and emotion, so that neither one is driving the experience, basically. You're just there, present in that moment with someone else. And so that's what I think is probably the meaning behind today's reading. So anyhow, well, I think we've pretty much done it on time here. We're approaching 25 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and let you guys go. Thanks for watching. The forecast will go up on the blog again today and tomorrow. I do that 5 days a week. If you want to get a little more information on the magical side of the esoteric influences, you can join me over on Patreon. I do a version where I do recommendations for magic on Monday. I do that Monday through Friday as well. So those days, whatever, some things I recommend to do if you're going to work some magic on any given day. Plus there's spell casting tips and all kinds of other things, some correspondences and all of that. Little more elaborate than what you see in the esoteric influences or in the forecast for the day. So if you want to go over there and support me there, that'd be awesome. I'd appreciate that very much. And look for my stuff over on Medium as well as on my blog, Stepping Aside, over at imsteppingaside.com. Links are below the video. If you're not accustomed to YouTube or you haven't been on it for very long, if you click that show more underneath a video, you might see all kinds of things that you didn't, some information that supports what's in the video, maybe links, things like that. And this is on anyone's video that you might look at. But on mine, you're going to see things like that. You're going to see where I am on social media and all of that. So anyhow, thanks again for watching. Have a good weekend and come back on Monday for another edition of As Above, So Below. And again, have a great weekend and be good to yourself, be good to one another, and blessed be.